All right. What's up, my friends? How we doing? And welcome to our mastermind call. I think we're calling this, right? Or I don't know. I keep forgetting what we're calling this. Mentorship group. Okay. Um, Sunday night, the 23rd of June. So I want to chat with you guys today a little bit about some things. And I want this to be a little bit interactive. I want you guys to ask questions. I want you guys to speak up, and if some concepts I share are not very clear, please speak up, say something. I'll explain it a little bit better. And hopefully, because the whole goal with these guys, like I said last week, is this. Is to help you guys think differently. It is my ultimate goal when I coach someone, when I coach people, is to help them to unprogram or deprogram the programs that they had in their mind and the conditioning that you've had for so many years that you're unaware of, right? For so long, we are conditioned to believe certain things, and those beliefs affect our behaviors. And unless you are aware of that, then nothing else in your life is going to change. So while this is a Beachbody Coach mentorship group, you're not going to hear me speak too much about Beachbody coaching at all in this entire program, because you're going to get that from other places. You're going to get that from, your team calls. You're going to get that from corporate. You're going to get that from wherever else. You know how you work your business, okay? But in this, I'm helping you tap into another version of you to evolve into a much stronger, more powerful version of who you are by just making some different shifts in how you think. And when you make those shifts in how you think, that will affect your belief system. And when you affect your belief system, that will change your behaviors. And when you change your behaviors, your results will come naturally out of that. And it's a much easier process, because once you get clear on a vision of what you want, things start to fall into place for you, in every different category of your life, namely, with your business as well. And that's where I want to start, guys. Well, let me start with a question. What percentage of your day are you thinking about your business? Is it 50% of the day? 60% of the day? 70% of the day? Is it more or less than 50? Anybody want to share something with me?
I probably think about it about 70% of the day.
Okay. Good. That's honest. Thank you. Appreciate that, Jenny. Anybody else?
Mine's about 80
Okay.
of different ways that I can transform my business.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm about, I would say, on any given day, between 50 and 80%. I do think about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Usually in the most obscure ways, though. Like I'll be doing something and be like, oh, I should just text this person and see what's up with them, and different things like that. I have different connectors in my head that go off at really bizarre times.
That's cool. That's cool. Mel, you want to say something?
I feel like I'm pretty much always thinking about it. I just don't take any action.
That's cool.
But it's always in my mind, like 90% of the day.
Cool. Well, thank you, ladies, for sharing that with me. I really appreciate that, because that's going to set the stage for what's coming next. And here's the thing. When we put all of our focus, or the majority of our focus, into one category of our lives, well, then that just tips the scales of balance in other parts of our lives. And that's where things go out of whack. When we start to just focus on our business, our career, our finances, well, then other parts of our life start to fall off or not be as important, or we don't think about as much. Because if it's about 80% business and finances, well, then your environment, your spirituality, your emotional fitness, your health and fitness, other parts of your life are being affected, your relationships, other things in your life are being affected if 80% of your thought process is around business and finance. And the goal with this is to help you have balance in all categories of your life. Now, and I'm glad we're going through this, because as a coach, and like I said this last week, if you guys weren't on last week or 2 weeks ago, my job is to serve you powerfully. And how I do that is I ask the uncomfortable questions, and I'll say the things that may make me and you feel uncomfortable at the same time. Because if I was just here to please you, then I would say something that you'd be smiling about and you'd be happy to hear. But that's not going to affect any change in your life. That's not what I'm here for. My goal is not here for you to like me or to be happy with what I have to say. The way I help have you have change and growth in your life is to help you push your thinking and push your limits of what you think you're capable of. And that's getting uncomfortable. And that's saying that, going deeper and saying the things that you really need to hear, not what you might necessarily want to hear. Okay? So I'm glad that we're starting off like that, because that sets the stage for a lot of different areas that we can go into. Because I mean, if we really separate, your life, right? There are many different areas that you want to improve upon, but we don't actually sit and think about these things deeply enough, because they're not in our consciousness. They're not in our front of our thinking. Because what do most of us do? We get up, we have a routine with our workouts, whatever we do in the morning. We eat, work all through our work day, help the kids out with this, you're grouchy with the spouse or whatever. Maybe you have a good relationship, whatever, and then you go to sleep. Well, when you start to think about, where do you want to be? Or even better question, who do I want to be? In distinct categories of your life, that will set you on the right path of what you need to do every day. And here's what I mean. So some of those categories are: who do you want to be mentally? Who do you want to be physically? Who do you want to be emotionally? Right? Spiritually. Now, when I say spiritually, I don't necessarily mean religious, because you don't have to be religious, and spirituality, in my perspective, are not synonymous. I mean, they can mean two different things. You can believe in spirituality and not necessarily believe in religion. So who do you want to be in those different categories? Have you ever spent the time to ask yourself those questions and really dive deep and get yourself that answer? And this goes back to my experience with, and Laura, you had some of this too, with, and Jenny, I think Melly too, actually all of us, for the most part, I think, going back to Chris's Power of I Am, where we did the I Am statements, right? Well, this is kind of that same concept, but I'm taking it a little bit deeper, because I focus on my I Am statement every day. And this is so powerful, guys, is when you create a vision for your life in these categories, well, then your decisions become a lot easier, right? When you know the type of person that you want to be physically, when you know the type of person that you want to be emotionally, mentally, what type of thoughts you want to have on, in a daily basis, how you want to feel on a daily basis, well, then decisions around those categories start to become easy, because you just make your decisions based on whatever that statement says. Does this make sense? So, for example, if I say mentally, I am mindful, I'm conscious of the thoughts that come into my mind, and I accept the thoughts that I choose. I choose to accept the thoughts in my mind and not the ones that I don't want. So mentally, I'm conscious of the thoughts that I really want to have in my mind, and that will affect the mood that I want to be in. And again, this is about going through life, not just by accepting life the way it is. It's about being the captain of your ship, directing your life in the direction that you want it to go. And this is how we get there. In these separate categories, in this first week here, I'm giving you guys a little bit of homework for next week. Okay. Start to think about your ideal self, your ideal vision of who you want to be in those categories, your mindset. How do you want to think? What are the things that you want to have constantly? What state of being do you want to be in on a daily basis? What types of thoughts do you want to have in your mind? Physically, how do you want to feel physically with your health and fitness? What is the ideal version of you that you see in your mind clearly of who you want to be? Emotionally, what is that clear vision of how you want to feel emotionally? Do you want to feel joyous and happy? Do you want to feel, how you want to feel? Your relationships, if you're in a relationship. Spiritually, how you want to be spiritually? What's the vision for your spirituality? And financially, because that's part of it. What is your vision for your financial life? Is it to be wealthy? Is it to have $500,000 a year? Is it to have $500? I don't know what your vision is. Whatever it is, it's yours. I don't control that, you do. But unless you create a vision for the life that you want to create, then you're just going to flow through life, as a lost ship in the ocean, right? Because you don't have that North Star to focus on. And here's what's so cool, guys, is that when you make it a practice of looking at your vision and who you want to be in each of these categories, things start to make sense. Things start to flow naturally. Because if I say physically, I am powerful, I am healthy, I am strong, I'm an athlete forever for the rest of my life. Well, then, am I going to eat junk? Am I going to go out there and eat junk every day? No, I'm not, because that's not in accordance to who I am and who I designed myself to be. Because I'm the captain of my ship. I'm not just going through life because everybody else is doing it. You want to do your thing? Fine. I am running my life. I'm not just accepting it the way it is. That's why I hate that saying, it is what it is. Such bullshit. It not is what it is. It is what you make of it. Your life is what you make of it, and that is what it is. Don't just settle for don't settle for whatever you have. Create what you freaking want. Right? So that's one of the homeworks I want you guys to focus on moving forward. And the last week, week 6, we're going to talk about goals and goal setting and moving forward. So we'll refer back to this session when we start doing that. Okay. Let me check in here. How you guys feeling with that? Good. Anybody want to share an insight you got just from hearing some of those things here, something clicking for you? We're just let it sit in it for a second.
I feel like I've already been going through some shifts. I realized like certain things that I had wanted, I want them, but not as soon as I think I want them. So that being said, like I've been doing a lot of personal discovery within myself as far as like job choices and spirituality, trying to dig deeper into that, which I feel is an area I really struggle with. I have my whole life. But I've also been making some pretty awesome discoveries and like realizing that I feel better in decisions that I've made, even if they were decisions that may hurt somebody, but they were easy decisions to make because I knew what I needed to do and I knew what was going to be best for me, and making me feel like I'm headed in the right direction with my life and the things that I want. You know, I sat down and I did write another letter to myself several weeks back.
Yeah.
And I realized all these things. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not putting myself in place to achieve these things, you know? So I had to make some decisions. I had to make some shifts, and I feel like I'm finally headed in the right direction with some things, but stuck on others. So.
And listen, it's a process, but you know, what's cool is that once you enjoy the journey, life gets more fun.
Yeah.
Right. And then, because you can't always have everything figured out.
No.
Because you always got to figure something new out about yourself as you go through this process.
Yep.
And in this whole world of discovery. But I like how you mentioned how you didn't have to make a decision because your inner knowing, and this goes for everybody, your inner wisdom already knows what to do. So there's no need to make any decisions. You either know what to do or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Your inner wisdom is already telling you that. It's already telling you how to feel and how to react to certain things. Very cool. Anybody else? Any insights before I move forward? Cool. All right. So moving forward, I think I'm going to save this for last. Okay. And again, when it comes to these, I don't know, the I am statement or these affirmations, what's really key and what really changes the way you think and the way it operates and the way it manifests in your life is repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition. I read my I am statement every night before I go to bed and every morning when I wake up, because I want that to be the last thought I have in my mind when I go to bed, because that's when your subconscious is going to work. So you have two parts of your mind, right? You have your conscious mind and you have your subconscious mind. But most people don't realize that your subconscious mind controls 95% of your entire life. Your subconscious mind controls 95% of your entire life. And most of that programming happened between the ages of 0 to 7 years old. Okay? So the way you change the programming is, number one, by hypnosis or by repetition, because repetition is the mother of all learning. I mean, think about it. How many times did you say the ABCs before you learned them? How many times did you drive in your car up and down the driveway before you got really good, and now you could drive with one hand and doing whatever else, right? Without even thinking about it. Repetition over time. Well, this is how you create those habits. You create the vision of who you want to be in these categories. You affirm them every single day and make them a part of your subconscious. So this way your subconscious controls your life, and the universe responds when you're vibrating at that high level. That's what tends to happen. Cool. And here's the other thing, the law of manifestation that I like to talk about too, is most people have this idea one way, and that is, once I have something, then I'll be able to do something and I'll be able to be this person. And that could be whatever however you see that. Once I have this college degree, then I'll do the job that I wanted to do so I can be the successful person that I wanted to be. Well, I'm going to challenge you guys to think about that a little bit differently and switch that around, because the way you create your life is, once you have to be in order to do, then to have. Be the person that you want to be. Do the things that that person needs to do in order to have what you want in your life. So it's be, do, and have to create the vision for who you want to be. So I want to finish here with a little bit of a metaphor here. Maybe you guys have seen this before, maybe not. But part of moving forward on this journey of empowerment, of growth, of learning, is releasing the past. You know, once you're in this world of creating the vision of the person that you want to be in these categories, well, there may be anchors that are keeping you attached to the person that you used to be. And here's what I'm going to tell you. If I hold up this bottle of water, okay, for about 2 hours, what do you think is going to happen? Probably nothing, right? What would happen if I held this bottle up for 24 hours? It'll probably start to hurt. My shoulder probably start to hurt. My arms start to hurt. Because although it's only about, a pound and a half, holding this for 24 hours is probably going to start to hurt me. And if I hold this for 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month, I'm going to be in excruciating pain. Well, this bottle represents your fears, your anxieties, your past. Only you can choose to let it go. Once you let go of that weight of your past, of your fears, of your frustrations, of your anxieties, of the old version of you, it may seem light in the beginning, but if you keep holding on to that, with anxieties and those fears, it starts to hurt only you. So once you learn to forgive yourself and let that go, release the past, that's going to free up so much energy in order for you to create the vision of the life that you want to create. Nothing moves forward if you don't release that. So it starts with you releasing all that stuff so it doesn't hurt you, doesn't pain you, and it'll free you up to create the vision of the version that you want to be. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. Any questions? Again, I don't want to hit you guys with too many concepts in one night. I want to just really start to focus in on those things to get your minds going, and start to think about creating the vision, right? And then next week is going to be about harnessing your inner power. Harnessing your inner power. And I touched a little bit on it today, but we're going to go deeper into it next week. And that's going to be really cool. So I want to leave you with a couple of things. How many of you guys, before I get into that, I just want to share with you some experiences that I've had and why we're bringing this program, together, putting this together, is because I had a tremendous experience with my life coach, who I've been working with since October. And he introduced me to things called the power tools. I'm going to share them with you guys. If you accept them, great. If you don't, they don't work for you, great. You can leave them. But there are 4 power tools that I use on a daily basis. And the first 2 are meditation and journaling. Meditation and journaling. And I will give you guys a bit of a side note on this too. I do it every morning when I get up, my meditation. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 15 minutes, it could be 20 minutes. Whatever it is, I usually do it first thing in the morning because that's when your mind is still not fully awake, still kind of in that dream state. So it's a good time to meditate and get your mind to release the thoughts. And then journaling right afterwards allows your brain to just dump all those ideas onto paper, whatever comes up. If there's no structure to journaling, whatever ideas and thoughts come onto, in your mind, write them out. And you'd be surprised at what thoughts come up and what ideas come up from that. Even if you're upset, I'm going to share with you a cool strategy to end the call here. If you have something that's lingering that you're upset about, if you have something that is really pulling on you emotionally and something you can't get rid of, well, write it out. Okay? First thing I want you to do is write it out on a piece of paper. Get angry. Curse if you have to. Write it out. Get frustrated. Whatever. Let it all out on paper. And then what I want you to do is once you're done getting that all out onto paper, I want you to rip it out of your notebook. I want you to rip it up into tiny, tiny little pieces. And I want you emphatically and strongly go to your garbage can and throw it as hard as you can into that garbage can and release it. Because that process is signifying you taking that thought, that frustration, that anger, that pain, putting it on paper, ripping it up and throwing it away. That symbolizes you no longer accepting that thought and that image into your life. You're removing it from yourself with that process. It's no longer part of your thoughts. It's no longer part of your life. Get rid of it. So that's a strategy that I started to use, and it's powerful in its effect. You know, if it works for you, great. If you don't think it's going to work for you, whatever. But that's been my experience. I want to share that with you guys as we leave here this call. So that's about it. That about wraps up today's session. I hope you got some value from this, guys. I really do. Some things to think about, some things to put together. I'll be checking in here in the group on Facebook throughout the week, see how you guys are doing. And listen, if you guys have questions, if you want to reach out to me and discuss things one-on-one and you feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable in the group, totally fine. Reach out to me, a messenger, and we could chat, set up a time to talk. I'm totally open to that if you want to do that. Okay, guys? So any questions before we go here? Any other insights anybody wants to share?
We need to start reading the book this week, right? So we can just start discussing it next week.
That's correct. Did you guys remember which book to get, right? Candace, you remember that or no? Laura got it. It's the Go Giver. Go Giver. Okay. Pretty powerful book. And we're going to start discussing that next week. Get it on Audible, get it on Kindle, whatever you need to get it on. But it's a powerful book once you get the ideas of it. Okay. Laura, did you start reading it yet?
No, not yet. With all the move, I'm gonna start tomorrow.
All right, cool. All right, guys. If no questions or any other comments, I thank you guys for spending your time with me tonight. Hopefully, you got something from this, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night, guys.
Okay.